Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Storytelling Podcast. My name is Collin,
My name is Mira.
and today we're actually joined by a special guest. Eliana, could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. I'm Eliana Hornbuckle. I am kind of a junior, kind of a senior at Brown. This is my 7th semester, and I'll be finishing next May, so May 2025. I study engineering and urban studies. I'm interested in food, water, and waste systems, and I'm originally from a small town in Iowa. So I'm involved with rural students at Brown here, and also a member of band and choir.
Awesome. I think, so the first question that we have for you is what prompted your decision to take the leave?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started at Brown I graduated high school in 2020. So I was a pandemic high school senior. And I had decided to go to Brown, and Brown delayed the start of first years. So I started at Brown formally in spring 2021. So I flew out in January with my parents and moved in and started taking completely online classes. And that was a huge change for me. I had never lived in a big city before. My hometown is about 7,000 people. I've also never lived anywhere besides my hometown. So that was certainly a change. And I was also taking the hardest classes I'd ever taken. I feel like now I've academically adjusted to Brown, but that first semester was really difficult because a lot of my high school classes were built off of memorization and weren't necessarily very difficult. So, and online classes suck in and of themselves. So, so like a couple weeks into that semester, I started to get sick, and Brown was like, "Oh, it's COVID." And it was not COVID. Spoiler, it was anxiety and depression, which was not fun. And it was just a period of me trying to figure out, okay, why am I not feeling well? Trying to get access to things that would help me feel better, like going to the gym to exercise, being around people, eating good food, and just none of that was available on campus. So I think it was about the end of March that I decided to go home to Iowa. So I was still taking online classes through Brown, and ended up having to take several incompletes for that semester, extended deadlines on things. And part of like Brown's plan for that first year class was, instead of doing a fall semester, you would do a spring and a summer. So there were 2 weeks between the spring 2021 and summer 2021 semesters. And I finished all of my spring classes the day before the summer ones would have started. And I was in communication with Dean Ellis primarily, but lots of other student support deans and academic deans. And that was a really tough semester, and I felt like I just barely dragged myself to the finish line. And I was not ready the next day to turn around and start 4 new classes and do it all again. And so my leave, I ended up taking medical leave, and that came a lot out of necessity at that time in my life. And I remember making that decision. I didn't know it was an option. I didn't know leave taking was a thing. I thought you just kind of disappeared from the college scene and reappeared. Depending on what kind of leave you take, there's a lot more paperwork and discussions and conversations around it. And I remember being really scared of it because that was kind of the first time in my life where I'd seen a plan for my life, and my life was not playing out according to that plan that I had thought of, which can be difficult. But looking back now, 100% glad I did it. And it's been very fundamental to where I am and who I am today.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I mean, the spring, summer, semester thing, like even with 2 weeks, that sounds like crazy to me. I don't know. I need my 1 month or 3 months.
Yeah. And what's been nice is like some administrators at Brown have looked back on that and have been like, yeah, that was an awful idea of that. But I mean, I give them some grace because it was COVID and there were no vaccines at that point, and they were just trying to figure out what's the best thing we can do for students during this time. And just that scenario just didn't work out for me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I came into Brown in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And I left when Brown had to kick us out in 2020.
Yep.
And then I guess that's when you graduated, and then that's when you came in, and so I had no idea with how Brown ran the trimester system.
Yeah.
I heard like about the pod thing that was really complicated, and like I can't imagine like what it was like for especially freshmen to have come and, you know, into a situation where like, you know, you're expected to like try to make friends. It's like freshman year, but also you're not allowed to. You're supposed to stay in these little tight groups. So like, I can imagine that must have been really difficult.
Yep. Yeah. And pods were basically like, okay, you can be around 4 other people, and those 4 other people only without masks. And I never joined a pod because I was like, well, I don't want to just limit myself to 4 people, because what if I end up not liking any of them? Because it was literally like you got like, it was like a video game. Like you were dropped in on campus, like you spawned on campus, and then it was like, assemble your team of warriors and like go do the semester. And I was like, how am I supposed to make that decision? Like, I don't know anyone.
Do you know how people were expected to form pods? Is it just like, especially the freshmen, is it just like,
no,
do you like sign up for it, or is it like?
No, it just seemed like there were people on my floor who just kind of the first day were just like, you seem cool. Want to be in a pod together? And I think some people, I didn't do a lot of this, but like there was like a Facebook page for my class. So I think some people had met each other through that, but then the housing was completely random. So kind of like where you ended up was just kind of the people you made friends with. So.
Yeah, see, I would have like hated that. My freshman dorm, well, I was assigned to a dorm where there were no freshmen.
Oh, wow.
Like, or my floor at least. And now it's just like the transfer dorm anyways.
Okay.
So like if I was in that situation, I would have been like stuck. There were like seniors on my floor who, I mean, I can't blame them, I guess. They weren't into the whole hi, like
make friends.
You know, let's meet each other, whatever.
Yeah. And people were, I mean, we were as social as we could be. We would put our desk chairs in the doorway, so we'd prop it open, and then we'd sit on the desk chair and then like talk to each other across the hallway. So I mean, there was some interaction, but it was just very limited.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And so you took your leave in freshman year?
Mm-hmm. Yep, right after my first semester.
Did you take any since?
Nope, that was my only one. Yeah, so I petitioned to return in fall 2021, which bureaucracy at Brown means that, and because of the weird summer semester, I like submitted to take leave and then 3 weeks later submitted letters to return. And I remember in the letter, I was just looking at it before what I had written, because they were like, oh, like, tell us why you're ready to come back. And I'm like, well, this is, you know, like 2 months in the future, I think I'll be ready to come back. Here, I can tell you what I've been doing the last 3 weeks. It hasn't been very long, but, and I was looking, a lot of what I did that summer, was just a lot of like getting myself healthy again so I could be successful again. So, I ran track and cross country in high school, very athletic person. And I completely stopped exercising when I was on campus. You had to make reservations at the gym. It was winter in Providence outside. I did my best to exercise and be creative with that, but there's just only so much you can do. So I had, there's a gym in my hometown that my parents bought me a fitness pass to, and I helped with, this was actually really fun. And something I would have done regardless, but it forced me to get back in running shape. It was called Go Far, which stands for Go Out for a Run. And it's a national program, but my town had a local club of it. And it's basically training 5th and 6th graders to run a 5K. And so we would meet twice a week and there were always snacks. I showed up for the snacks. But it was really, I mean, it reminded me a lot of why I love running, because I got to watch a lot of other people, you know, start out hating it. And then once they got better at it, they were like, wait, I actually really enjoy this. And it was a good way to force me to, one, be around people, and two, also exercise. So.
Have you had thoughts about participating in the Providence half or the full one?
Yes. Unfortunately, I have very complicated feet. If before this,
Everyone does, it's okay.
for context, I walked into the Rock to record this podcast, and I switched shoes because my current walking shoes have been bugging my feet. So I got a new pair of walking shoes, but I haven't decided if I like them yet. So I'm only wearing them inside right now, so I can still return them in 2 weeks if I don't like them. Anyway, so I've been having some foot issues.
Okay.
I was running last fall. Right now I've been doing lots and lots of swimming. But I know my roommate will be running the half marathon. Shout out Anna Gaylor. And I have several other friends who are going to do it too. So I want to make one of those signs. And hopefully by that point I'll be running a little bit so I can spectate run. But I want to make a sign that's like one of those like Mario Kart speed up things. It's like tap here to power up. And honestly, like running, like cheering for runners is just as much fun too. So
it is. I also cheered on my roommate who ran the full one last
Mm-hmm.
year, and like it was really awesome to just see him like literally like collapse to his feet. Like not awesome to see him do that, but just like the fact that like he finished,
did
like,
it.
Like all the adrenaline's coming, and like it was awesome.
Yep. Yeah. It's on my bucket list. Do a half first, and then we'll think about a full marathon.
It's
So.
like my parents run marathons, and I don't run like at all. Like,
Okay.
I barely walk, and now I like want to get into running. So maybe I should hit you up about that.
Hey.
Like,
I have an excellent return to run plan. That's like if your body functions but you're just out of shape, here's what to do for 7 weeks, and then you can run a 5K. So, happy to share that.
Okay, so another question that I had was, it seems like running and exercising and just being at home were things that you try to prioritize while you were away from school. Were there any other things that you wanted to do outside just to like, you know, whether it's to get yourself back for, you know, back to come back, or just any other interest that you had? Like, could you talk more about your leave?
Yeah. So there were 2 other things that I did. The first, I actually took a class at Iowa State, which is a university right next to my hometown. And that the purpose of doing that was kind of twofold. It was one, I dropped Chem 330 my first semester.
me too.
Yeah. Chemistry and I just didn't vibe. Also, online labs for chemistry, worst thing to ever exist. And it was just, I got to one of those points where I hadn't been doing that much schoolwork, and it was like, which class is not recoverable? The clear answer to that was chemistry. But at that point, I was still thinking I wanted to do environmental engineering, so the full SCB degree. And that requires chemistry. And so I was like, okay, like, you know, can I take that class again while I'm at home? So that's what I did. It was at Iowa State. The lectures and stuff were online, but the lab part was in person. So I would go to campus once a week for that. I think it was an 8-ish week course. So pretty condensed. But that helped me get a lot of my academic confidence back, because I just felt like that first semester, I was like, well, one, I can't do online classes, but it was more, I can't do classes at Brown at all. They're too hard. I'm not smart enough. I can't do this. And so that class was like, one, can we get my brain thinking more about academics again and kind of build up that confidence, so when I came back in the fall, was ready for more classes. So that was one thing I did. And then the other thing I did that was really fun, my town had started a community garden, and so I would go once a week, and I helped weed, plant things, harvest. So I'd go once a week for most of the summer. And that was fun because it was a much older population than the running club. And I'm just someone who I've always been better friends with old people for some reason. My mom says I have a mature soul. I just think old people have it all figured out and we can learn a lot from them. So why not become friends with them? So, but that was really good. And it really, that summer was all about how can I provide structure to get myself healthy again and get back to the things that I did all through high school, because the pandemic was really a full stop on, I have 2 older siblings, so for 8 years of my life, every spring was track season, final band and choir concerts, and then graduation, and then summertime. And in March 2020, none of that happened. So it was just kind of getting back into the swing of routines that I'm used to.
Mm-hmm. So I relate to that a lot in the sense that I feel like I used to have a lot of hobbies or things that I like to do in high school before coming to Brown, and then when I came here I found doing the bare minimum of classes 10 through 30, I felt that
Yeah.
that was so hard that I didn't even have time to focus on anything else that kind of gave me joy, and perhaps that's also why classes became harder, because I never thought, I guess we're all we have different sides to ourselves. You have academics, but then you have something else that you like to do that's provides balance and also a little bit of a break. And for my leave, I think what I learned the most coming back was to hold on to those things.
Mm-hmm.
I used to feel like they weren't priorities, but then I almost prioritized that and breaks more than studying, and that helped me also do everything better, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if you were able to hold on to the things that you did during your leave at Brown as well. And it seems like with track you did, but anything else you want to share on that?
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. You have to be a person first to be a student. And if you're not being a person, you can't be a good student. So just be a good human being and take care of yourself first. And then, the student part of your life will follow behind. In terms of... I guess passions, interests, non-school things. Exercise is a really big thing for me. It boosts mood like no other. Natural antidepressant. So I typically run if my feet are feeling okay. I've been doing lots of swimming. I've recently mastered flip turns. Which let me tell you, that is a game changer if you don't have to stop at the wall every single time. Massive.
Plus, without getting your nose all spicy.
Yes, it still happens once per swim, but I'm getting much better at it. And other exercise I've been doing. I live in one of the new dorms on Brook Street, and I'm on the Danoff side. Oh, but south of Chen, there's there's supposed to be a smoothie shop going in the basement of Chen, or coffee thing. There's a retail area. They're still building it.
Is it affiliated with Brown, or is it one of the old local stores?
No, it'll be how Shake Shack's in the bottom of the Nelson Center.
Oh, kind of like that.
It's like that. It's a Brown-owned building, but a separate
Shake Shack's in the bottom of Nelson Center?
Yeah, on Thayer.
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah. Sorry.
That's okay.
For some reason, I thought bottom.
The gym.
The gym?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah. Other
yeah.
Nelson. Is that the same Nelson?
I don't know.
Is, right? There's a lot of
Can't be that many Nelsons.
There's a lot of Metcalfs here too,
This is true. Yeah. But so they're building the smoothie shop still, and I'm assuming there's this nice patio area that I'm guessing they're gonna put tables out and chairs outside, but right now there's nothing. So I'll take my yoga mat out there and do workout videos outside, and it's on the south side of Chen. So between 11 and 3 p.m., if it's sunny, it's literally just you're sunbathing on a rock. It's the best thing ever. That's what I'm doing this afternoon, is I'm exercising south of Chen. And yeah, so exercise has been a big thing. Music is a big thing for me. And that's nice because at Brown, so I'm in band and choir. And I go to band and choir, and it's an automatic built-in community. It forces you to go see people and interact with people, and also not do schoolwork for however long rehearsal is. And band especially is really super fun. And we're playing at the basketball game tonight.
Let's go. I'm gonna go to that game. So
Yes.
I'll see.
Okay. All right.
What do you play?
I play alto sax.
Oh, yeah.
And I also had a stint last spring where I was just sick and tired of reading music and like playing notes. So I was like, percussion can't be that hard, right? Like, what if I just played percussion? It's not super difficult musically. It is very difficult on the body because you have to wear a harness. I played quads first also. That was probably my first mistake, but they're really heavy. And I mean, it's basically like your body is a lever and you're hanging a weight off of it, off of your front. So I can play bass drum and quads and cymbals actually. Haven't done that in a while though. I've just been sticking to saxophone. So, but
Cool.
yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I've kept doing. Yeah. I mean, I just have lots of meal dates set up. I love just eating with friends and catching up and having a full hour where like my only goal here is, I'm not going to try and cram in any work. I'm just going to sit here and eat and talk to whoever I'm with. Mm-hmm. So, and that was a big thing growing up. My siblings and I complained about it our last couple years at home, but my parents were very strict about like no phones at the table during supper. Also, I'm from Iowa. I call it supper. It's not dinner. And that was like the one thing when I was on campus, because you'd pick up food from a dining hall in spring 2021, go eat in your room alone. Right. And I just missed talking to people and like having that like social recharge time over food. And that was not something that I'd realized was important to me until I didn't have it anymore. So that's been one thing. And my friend group, we usually meet every night for supper. So that's really nice.
That's so wholesome.
It's usually at the Ratty.
Yeah.
Less wholesome?
Still, conceptually, I like it.
Okay.
Yeah. I think when I came back from leave, I felt like the academic pressure to like do well again and like get my brain back into study mode, that was like, a bit of a concern. But I think, and I believe that this is what a lot of people who do come back feel. I think it's more the social part that you talked about that people would find a little bit unnerving, especially if their leave is a little bit longer than just like a semester or like a year, because that could mean, like your friends could have graduated or like could have, like a lot of things could happen within that time. And so I know that your leave wasn't too long, but were there some strategies or some tips that you can share about approaching that social anxiety that people could have?
Yeah, I, like you said, my leave was only a semester / a summer, so only a couple months long. Coming back, so I came back in fall 2021. So there was kind of a whole new class that started. Right. I actually informally went to most of their orientation events because Brown wasn't checking IDs, and I was like, I didn't get an orientation. And so I think in that sense, like starting in the fall was really good because like lots of other people are also in like the I know no one, I want to make friends mode. And then like outside of that, like a lot of those friends I made that first semester back were either through band or I just did a lot of like I would go to class and I'd sit next to someone and ask their name. And the next class, I would also sit next to that person. And then, we'd have a conversation about, like, what'd you do since last class? And people are always like, I don't have, like, the small conversation skills of that. I'm like, well, all you have to do is ask the other person a question, and then they'll respond. And then you can ask another question, or you can, if they said something interesting, respond to that, too. Yeah, and I'm lucky, I think, in the sense that my leave wasn't very long. I'm feeling it a little bit now because usually I would have been graduating this semester, which means a lot of my friends are leaving, which is very sad. But I've also been band plays at graduation, and so I think it'll be really cool the fact that I get to watch all of them graduate and play them through the gates.
That's amazing.
Instead of walking with them, I just get to watch them, and then I get to have my own moment next year. And yeah, and I am just really lucky in the sense that when I came back, kind of the friend group I joined, they're kind of half seniors, half juniors. So some of them are leaving this year, but a lot of them will still be here next year. So
Yeah, if I can share something about that, just because
yeah.
I think that's such a relatable experience, just like when you see your original, quote unquote, original class graduate. So my original class was 2022, and so, and plus I was not even in the country, like I was back home.
Right.
And so like I only saw the pictures through Instagram, and so like that was like an even weirder feeling, just because like I had so many memories of these people and like my friends from back when we were like literally babies into Brown.
Right.
And like, you know, struggling through like the same intro courses together, but like seeing them in their gowns and like,
Yep.
you know, like their professional headshots and like, oh, great. And like I was so happy for them.
Yeah.
But there is that like, damn kind of feeling. But I think, as you said, and I'm going to graduate this semester. So it's
Woo,
weird,
woo.
but I think,
I will play y'all through the
oh,
gates.
oh, yeah. But yeah, I think you really do come to a time where it's like, oh yeah, you know, like I'll just, you know, I'll graduate on my own. Like there's no rush to like do anything at a certain time, and things will be fine.
I like watched all my technical, like, you know, my freshman year class graduate last year, and I was like crying at all the graduation events, but it not like. I thought I'd be more sad, but I think I was just like really happy. I felt like a parent type of, or not really parent. I think that's like too much, but like a
Proud sibling
type of
vibes.
vibe. And I was just like clapping and like cheering, and it was just so fun. I mean, I think there's also a different type of appreciation that you can have. It's a different angle, right? Like a lot of these things that when you're graduating yourself, you're gonna probably be more focused on like. It's a different perspective is all I'm saying. And it's cool to see like the people who are graduating knowing that they're your friends, and like you'll stay connected regardless. And a lot of people come back, I think especially for their first like reunion.
Yep,
I've
and
heard,
usually
like,
5 year too, yeah.
I feel like a lot of people are coming back, so I'm excited for graduation.
Yeah, and Brown does graduation. I mean, it's a big, gigantic party, basically. So, I mean, I've been to 2 with band, and it's just really fun because it's just like 3 full days of just like, woohoo, you did it.
It's hot though.
Oh yeah, yeah,
It's gonna be
yeah.
so hot.
Last
I'm kind of like worried.
Are you not
but-
sweating like playing? Like...
Yeah, so band we have to wear our like official uniform, which is khaki pants, whatever color tennis shoes. We have polos, and then we have the worst part are blazers, which are not breathable at all. They're really great for football games when it's like 45 and a little bit breezy, but when it's like 80 and you're standing in the sun playing saxophone for 2.5 hours, not the vibe. So yeah, Gatorade and apple juice are your best friends for that, as are a hat and sunglasses. So, but I mean, I think it is slightly better than a full black robe. So,
For sure.
I mean, some trade-offs. So, and the band gets lots of breaks, and we can take off our blazers. So it's really just that long stint of everyone going through the gates. And so part of me is always like, alumni don't come back because then we're going to have to play longer. But then I'm like, wait, it's a big party. Like, it's fine. It's fine. So, yeah.
It was really cute seeing the like the really old classes. And I mean, kind of sad because like some of the classes, there's only one of them who like came back. And I'm like, damn, it's like this like nice grandpa just like walking.
Yeah, and sometimes they make like fun signs. Like last year there were lots of them that were like, we graduated before ChatGPT. Like I did it without ChatGPT, and I'm like, oh, congrats. And then like older classes will be like, I did this before Google. I'm like, okay, mad props to you. So
Yeah, that's true. Okay, well, right around 30 minutes at this point.
hey,
And honestly, I think that's a good place to wrap up with graduation talk.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Eliana.
yeah,
for your
absolutely.
insights.
Thank you so much. We were so happy to have you.
Yeah. This is great. This is great. If you want to come back, you're always welcome to. But in any case, thank you everyone for listening, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
See y'all.